let me express my thanks to you, Bob, for such a kind and generous introduction. I would ask us, before I share with you, the 9 firemen whose lives were lost in Charleston, South Carolina today, in their line of duty for those distressed families who often risk so much and have so little. Let's stand and bow our heads in prayer for those families today. For the victims of human tragedy, we pray today across lines that divide, across walls. We build bridges of hope today to the end that we might all be spared. Would you be with these families who lost their loved ones in the fire? Give them the hope that sustains them during this tragic hour. Amen. I want to express my thanks to Bob Borsage and Roger Hickey and the Campaign for a Future American. As I observe you here today, I submit that our challenge is not so much a generational gap or even a racial gap as much as it is an informational gap. When the plant gates close and the lights are turned out, you're trying to survive without health insurance. We all look amazingly similar in the dark. At that time, the issue is not young and old or black and white. It's dark and light. We need the lights turned on. I look forward to the day when the America's future, those who want to take back America and the rainbow, can have a joint conference. We share so much in common. And we come together, we win great races. I want to thank the real organizers of this event, the people who brought us together today, George Bush and his Bush League team. Who have brought us back together, rekindle our fighting spirit. They've got us working together again. We deserve a better president with a broad vision of what makes America great and our promises as Americans and our real needs. Breaking news today, Mayor Bloomberg came unto himself, seeking to lead his city with a broader view of humanity, gun control and women's rights and environmental security. And today, Mayor Bloomberg has left the Republican Party. For that, he deserves congratulations. I'm often asked the question, what time is it and who are we? In summation, I often say, Bush spied and Cheney lied. Too many have died. It's time for them to be tried. It's impeachment time. A generation ago, we embarked on an incredible journey together, a journey that changed our party and changed America. In 1984, we launched a Rainbow Challenge to open up the Democratic Party to the dispossessed and the disrespected, to pour new wine into old wineskins, to add millions of young and minority voters to the party rolls, voters who would move our country in a progressive direction while helping us to win elections. We won 5 primaries and caucuses in '84. We put South Africa's apartheid on the table. We registered 2 million new voters. In 1986, those new voters gave us a new Senate. Our voting expanded the tent. Then in '88, we doubled our vote. We're pulling in 7 million plus voters, more than we won in '84 by twice. We won 13 primaries and caucuses. registered 1 million more new voters, we kept hope alive. For the first time since the assassinations of Dr. King and Robert Kennedy, within 2 months of each other, in the spring of '68, we built a Rainbow Coalition, a campaign of African Americans and Latinos and whites, gays and straights, feminists, peace advocates, environmentalists, and labor. We sent more than 1,200 delegates to Atlanta that year, the most diverse delegation ever, and the one that looked the most like America. After successes in Super Tuesday, we left Michigan leading the pack. Competitors were dropping out. The old guard was panicking. We moved into New York in the lead in a three-way race with Dukakis and Gore. We would have won, perhaps gone on to win the nomination, but Gore was encouraged to drop out. In reaction to the rainbow, people were having fits. The DLC was spreading fear and an anti-urban, anti-labor message. We were simply expanding the tent to make room for the future margins of victory for new voters. 23 years after Selma, we carried Alabama and South Carolina and Virginia. 21 years after riots in Detroit, we carried Michigan. 24 years after Freedom Summer, we carried Mississippi. America got better, not bitter, because we stood up. Standing up matters. Without vision, the people perish. Without the King's vision and RFK's vision still burn in our hearts, their dreams became our platform. Today, abandoned urban policy has created a protracted state of emergency with an alarming level of suffering, high death rates, and gun violence. The media and both parties are becoming increasingly desensitized to Katrina. The face of Katrina continues to haunt us, from perishing on rooftops, crying out for help. 250,000 people in exile scattered around the nation. They were failed in rescue, relocation, and now reconstruction. The resources are held up and exhausted. We must put a renewed focus on that crisis. There's no plan for them to return home. Gonzalez refused to uphold the promise of the Voting Rights Act in '65. So you could vote from Detroit. You could vote from Detroit and New York to Baghdad, but not Atlanta and Houston to New Orleans. That's wrong. We need a new Attorney General. We need to supplant this administration with justice on the agenda. But Katrina really is a metaphor for abandoned urban America. Across America, schools are decaying, medical services are diminishing, and hospitals are closing. Neglect led to desperation and carnage. It is a moral disgrace. Today there's a shameful national rhythm. Jobs and capital out, guns and drugs in. Taxes up, services down. Our schools are funded by property taxes under state control. The disparities are unequal and yet legal. The NRA policies, protected by the Congress, allow the insurgents to expand the gun flow. 30,000 die of gun violence each year, 120,000 injured each year. We've lost 33 children in Chicago this year in high school. Semi-automatic weapons are made illegal again. You can get an unlimited number of guns. Cities don't sell them, but suburbs and gun shows. We must stop the flow of guns and make America safe and secure for everybody. We need federal gun legislation. We need to end the war in Iraq, revive the war in poverty at home, invest in infrastructure, roads and levees, bridges and railroads, and schools to put America back to work. In the 1980s, many Democrats were scared of Reagan, fearful of his popularity. We needed bold leadership. More than that, we needed a new direction, as we do today. Bold reconstruction. Bold, a warm power, the bold a new direction. So the Jackson campaign in '84 and '88 are worth analyzing together. We changed the party. We had coattails. We won Virginia in '88, Doug Wallace governor in '89. Dickens, New York, '89, we won New York in '88. We helped elect a rainbow chair of the Democratic Party, Ron Brown. And all together, we ended the Reagan era in '92. And guess what? Bill Clinton was elected president twice. In both instances, Bush and Dole got more white votes than Clinton. But Clinton got more white and rainbow, and he won in '92 and '96. And now we've not been stolen, and we're the one 2000, 2004. We must, in fact, end the carnage at the polls. I challenge us to build a coalition across lines of our field, race and gender and religion. I talked 20 years ago about my grandmother making a quilt. Often we could not buy one piece of uncut cloth called a blanket. And she would take pieces of old cloth, shirt and dress and coat and odd colors and odd patches. On the bed, apart, they were just rags, different colors and textures. She would take a strong string and turn patches into a quilt, a thing of beauty and art. Blacks, you're right about drugs flowing and unequal schools and the prison industrial complex. We're right about those issues, but our patch isn't big enough. We need coalition. White progressives, you're right about the war in Iraq and no spying. You're right, but your patch is not big enough. Latinos, you're right about no walls on the border. You're right that no human being is an alien, but your patch is not big enough. Women, you're right about child care and family leave and equal pay and health care. You're right, but your patch is not big enough. Environmentalists, you're right. We're burning up the ice caps and killing polar bears. You're right, but your patch ain't big enough. Labor, you're right about card check and the need for fair trade policies and jobs coming to America. You're right. We need a quilt. We must come together to win, not just protest, but to win. We must come together to win the big race. We must find a way to build a quilt. We must, in fact, find common ground to win the big campaign. We must have our own coalition, our own agenda. We must whiten the face of poverty. Whiten the face of affirmative action. I've seen young white women in Michigan on athletic scholarships voting against affirmative action. And they won Title IX scholarships. I've seen whites in Appalachia without a job, voting for a tax cut for the wealthy. Poisoned by race. John Kennedy once held up a black baby in his arm in Harlem. The press dismissed it as, well, that's what liberals do. He's from Boston. He talks funny. He reaches out to Adam Powell. His holding up a black baby who was poor was dismissed. But Robert Kennedy held up a white baby in his arm in West Virginia. That baby's tears and bloated belly caught America's attention. We must be smart enough to whiten the face of poverty. Most poor people are not black. They're not brown. They're white. They're female, they're young, but they're all God's people. We must build a coalition based upon racial justice, gender equality, and workers' rights for all of God's children. I hear today anecdotes about the racial crisis, the heart of America's dilemma. Yes, Tiger Woods and Venus and Serena Williams and the ball players are doing well. And so some want to use anecdotes to say we're doing better. There is a surge of better, but there's a powerful undercurrent. Blacks today are number one in baseball, football, basketball, but number one in the poverty rate. Number one in the rate of incarceration. Number one in the rate of homicide victims. Number one in victims of hate crimes. Number one in mortgage denial rates, in obesity and diabetes rates. Number one in teachers in neighborhood classrooms with less than 3 years experience. Number one in the death sentence, in the unemployment line, in percentage of Americans who do not have health care. Unless we lift the boats to the bottom, we will not survive. We must lift all the boats. We all must fight together. When we fight together, we all win. We must have another kind of report and lift all boats. We all matter. We cannot win without it. We cannot win without each other. It's about voting rights. If you vote and your vote does not count, you cannot win. And so we won by registration in 92 and 96. Republicans won by nullification. And that is why Gonzalez is in trouble today, fighting for people to be officials of the law and not enforce for. We enforced Voting Rights Act in 2008. Republicans are out of business. We must, in fact, enforce the Voting Rights Act. Ohio, Florida, we must enforce the Voting Rights Act. I urge you today, as we fight this fight, together we can win. Don't let them break your spirit. We can win this fight. We can register and mobilize. We can win this fight. What are our interests, Bob, in fighting this fight today? I spoke at a university for commencement a month ago in Virginia. 900 graduates. Average debt per graduate is $60,000. Guaranteed debt without guaranteed jobs. We, in fact, must invest in lowering the rate to go to college and increase opportunity for all Americans. We must believe that we can do it. When we marched on the dust roads of Alabama and Mississippi in the South, we had no budget, we had no internet, but we fought back. Women did not have the right to vote, but we fought back. When the jails was commonplace, we fought back. Races could not freely associate, but we fought back. Rural blacks faced intimidation and poll taxes. We fought back. Today, if we have the will, we have the power to fight back. It was an impossible dream. It was morally right. And they kept their eyes on the prize until they did it. Don't let them break your spirit. Win big elections by big dreams. Kennedy beat Nixon by 112,000 votes. Less than one vote per precinct. When we fight back, good things come our way. Kennedy and King killed in 68, and Nixon won by 500,000 votes. We dropped our baton. We don't fight back, we lose. In 76, Carter won by 1.7 million. When we fight back, we win. In 92 and 96, our vote put Bill Clinton over the top to defeat Ford and Dole. We fight back, we win. In 2000, in Florida, the election was stolen. In 2004, in Ohio, it was stolen. When we fight back, we always win. Don't let them break your spirit. Today we have the power to move from racial battleground to economic common ground to moral higher ground. Today, while we have outstanding candidates running in our party for independent Democrats, it's not only who's running, but what is the agenda? Who has a plan to address urban America? The controversial fights of stopping the gun flow. Who will take on the NRA? You cannot fight insurgents in Iraq and have semi-automatic weapons in American streets. Who will take on the NRA? Today we have the power to change our conditions, to change our destiny. We have the power to force regime change at home. At the ballot box, we have the power to create a groundswell for a new direction at the ballot box. And Bob, it gets dark sometime. We get dispirited sometime, but don't let them break your spirit. When our minds are made up, great things come our way. What it is, Valeluizzo dying on the highway in Alabama. Our shed blood is non-negotiable for our coalition. Was Swanda training Goodman in the sweltering heat of Mississippi. When blacks and Jews find common ground, we always win, at the expense of our martyrs. When Chavez fights in the fields of California, we join him. The poor of America win. Don't build walls to our neighbors, build bridges. We come together, we always win. Bridges over walls. Young blacks must learn to speak Spanish. Young Latinos must learn to speak English. One of the largest cities, the majority of black and brown, let's talk to each other. Let's talk it out and not fight it out. So stand up together. This is America. We are America's future. It is our hope eternal that will make America better. It gets dark, but the morning cometh. For those of us who believe the Lord is our light and our salvation, whom shall we fear? Don't let them break your spirit. If the parents of those at Columbine didn't give up, we can't give up now. The coal miners didn't give up, we can't give up now. And those who picked the cotton in the sweltering sun of the South didn't give up, we can't give up now. And those who lost their lives in Iraq in that madness, if they didn't give up, we can't give up now. Don't give up, stand up, fight back. This land is our land. We're in, Bush is out. Keep hope alive. God bless you. We're in. Bush is out. We're in. Bush is out. Repeat, Bush spied. Cheney lied. Bush spied. Cheney lied. Leave the bushes. Leave the bushes. God bless you.